And she went out on a date, and the first question she asked was, "How long have you been divorced?" And he said, "Well, I'm not." And she said, "So you lied on the first
Yeah.
question of harmony." He said, "Are you telling me that everybody answers that question?" And she just said, "No matter what your justification was, I'm not even going to order dinner." He
Yeah.
was horrified. But she said, "You just told me everything about you,
Yeah.
that you were willing to lie to go out on a date."
Yeah.
And he's like,
Hello, Annette.
"Hi, how are you?"
Very good. How are you?
"Good, good. It's so great to meet you.
Yes, it is. We
Been
were
looking
exchanging on
forward to
social
this."
media. Yes, me
Yes,
too. It's funny when you start talking to people on social media and you feel like you know them, but then it's the first time we're actually meeting face to face.
that's right. That's right. That's what
Yeah.
social media does for some of us, not all of us.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes,
So excited that you've agreed to join me on the Break Time with Patty show.
wonderful.
And I have a feeling we're going to have a blast.
Great, great. Let's
Dear,
do it.
yes, dear friend, let me introduce Annette Lavigne to you. Number one, she is a distinguished Toastmaster. She has been a Toastmasters member since 1995, or as she likes to say, since she was a brunette. Her public speaking journey was not an easy one, being at one time a very angry gal. She had to learn to play nice. This organization removed her mean gene, and she's forever grateful for that. And so am I. Number two, she is a mother, a wife, and a friend. Learning to get along with people, have a successful marriage, and being the best mom she could be was part of her goal when she joined Toastmasters. And it worked. Today, she prides herself as being a 90%er. That is, a person who gets along in the world with 90% of the people she meets. That's pretty good. She's also not perfect. And today, she's convinced that being imperfect and embracing it is a gift. And finally, number three, she's also a mortgage agent, one who loves to talk, share, and help others. Whew, all right, I've talked enough. Let's get started.
Okay.
Annette, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to be in your shoes when you were a little girl, please?
Okay. Always, always a touchy subject.
Oh.
Like many, I was brought up in a very, very volatile. Uh, my daddy was addicted to jungle juice. So there's a lot of chaos, a lot of anger. Um, that's probably why I ended up being an ineffective communicator, because I learned a lot from him as opposed to my mom, who's more passive. So when I actually think back to my childhood, I've actually forgotten a lot of it, and it needs to be really put away. I can't remember between, say, 4 and 10. It's a complete, I think those are probably pretty rough years at home. And there was a lot more to come and more before that. But in a nutshell, I was in a situation that a lot of people can identify with. I wasn't the only one, in the world that was living in that situation. And there continues still to be people in that situation.
Yes.
So that's it really in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're right. Most families don't have the picture perfect life, and there are people out there who have children who are not equipped. They don't have what it takes
Yes.
to reproduce, and they
Yes.
do, and then it causes a lot of damage, which is why there's a lot of work to be done to heal those wounds, because they cause wounds, long-term wounds.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. And did you have any siblings?
4 brothers.
Oh.
The 4 brothers. Yes, it was a gift. It's a gift today. Back then, I didn't think it was a gift, as we were trying to kill each other.
Yes.
But I do believe it's a gift today. And I have 3 now. One unfortunately passed away in December, my oldest brother, which was a real loss.
Sorry about that.
But I made a promise to Mom before she went that I would always work things out between us. and that I would be responsible in keeping the four, like all of us, intact and never let any arguments between any of us take over. So it's, I think that's kind of, I meet a lot of people who have siblings and they're not connected to their siblings. I just made a decision that that couldn't happen one day, and my mother made me promise her that we would not break down as siblings. So I'm
Good.
very close to them today.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
4 brothers. Yes. Well, 3 brothers now. I'm really sorry to hear about the loss of your brother. Actually, I lost a sibling too, actually, my sister.
Ah,
Not last December, but the one before. And I have
ah,
one brother left. And yes, I am blessed and we stay. It's like cats and well, we were cats and dogs all our life, but now we're pretty tight. We just try
that's
to help
right.
my mom as much as possible, and we stick together.
That's right. Well, I'm sorry for your loss because a sister is
Mm.
that's that's a lot to handle.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. I got a lot of help, but yes. Okay, well, here we are. And at one point, you started a public speaking journey. Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about how that began, please?
Well, okay. So like I speak the truth, right? Nothing but the truth. My mother actually voiced to me that I was very much like my father, except that I didn't threaten with a gun.
Hmm.
And quite honestly, 3 days later, I literally turned myself into Toastmasters. And I always like to show it in a picture. And I always, a metaphor, I said, I turned myself in, like
Mhm.
with cuffs. And I said, don't take the cuffs off until I learn to be a better person. It was a mind blowing moment to think that my mother was actually afraid of me, and it was just words. It wasn't physical. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, words can be pretty damaging as well. And so that's what I did. I literally turned myself into Toastmasters, and I said, don't release me until I'm a better person. So I was very fortunate in that journey. I did change and make amends with my mother. And we ended up having a really, the last 5 or 7 years of her life were really, really, really good,
Hmm.
a good relationship.
Oh,
And so basically, that's how I ended up at Toastmasters.
hmm.
It took me 19 years to go to my first meeting. I had been told at 19, and I think I was 38 before I went.
Wow.
So I could honestly, one of my regrets is not going sooner. If I have to talk about regrets, that's one of them.
Wow.
So
19
that
years.
was my start. That was the start. That was back in 1995.
That's insane. So wait a
Yeah.
minute. So let's go back. So you said 19 years before that, you had heard
Yes.
about it and you refused to go that
Yes.
way? And
Well, it had been suggested that I needed to go, but the explanation on why wasn't clear to me. You need to go to Toastmasters. And I said, I don't have a problem talking. And I didn't. I needed I needed to learn to shut up.
Mhm.
So that person was trying to help me, but all they kept saying was, we do public speaking. Well, you and I both know public speaking, what could that possibly do for me?
Mm.
It's like, it's not that I thought I could public speak. It's just that I couldn't understand. Like when someone asked me today why I go to Toastmasters, the bottom of the list is public speaking. I
Mm.
said, we learn about effective communications. We learn about listening. We learn about evaluations, saying nicer things to each other, learning how to formulate compliments as opposed to insulting people,
Mm.
trying to be helpful in the way we say things, which really comes in handy when you're a mom with the young kids, right?
Yes.
So in Toastmasters, I don't have to convince you. It's way bigger
Mm.
than public speaking. That just happens to be the train, the method. But at the end of the day, when I talk about Toastmasters, my biggest line is it's cheaper than a shrink.
Oh.
Because there's a lot of people they laugh and giggle at that, but they understand what I'm talking about. I've met, and we meet lawyers and doctors and Walmart staff. We meet all kinds of people at Toastmasters because it's teaching people effective communications, and we don't function very well in the world in business or in life without being able to be good communicators.
Yeah.
But for me, I needed to learn to stop talking as opposed to learning how to speak. And like I needed to slow down.
I love that. Oh my, it's the
Yeah.
first time I've actually heard that, that
Mm,
I need to stop speaking. Well, I know I've heard that we need to listen more and etc., but never stop speaking, because I guess what was coming out of your mouth was just more hurtful than anything else to the planet, I guess. So
that's
that's
correct.
beautiful, actually.
That's
Thank you for
correct.
sharing that.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm so happy. So now you mentioned that the Toastmasters help you with your communication with your mom. I'd love to hear how you find that your public speaking experience helped you become a better spouse, better mom, and a better mortgage agent, if anything. Can you like apply
Okay.
examples for each of those?
Sure. Well, I have the infamous green shirt story.
Mhm.
So prior to Toastmasters, I remember my husband putting a shirt on. It was green and fuchsia pink,
Hmm.
plaid. And I remember, I looked over and I said, "Really, you're not wearing that shirt again to a function." And he said, "Watch me wear it to this one and to the next five." Okay, like that's like, I mean, my husband's a grown man and I shouldn't be telling him what and how to dress. However, if I do want to suggest a different choice of shirts, it's got to be a better way. So
Mhm.
prior to Toastmasters, that's how I behaved. Are you wearing that again? Didn't go over very well. After Toastmasters, when he was wearing a different shirt, I said, "That shirt looks awesome on you.
Oh.
Like it matches with your eyes, dear. Like it brings out the green in your eyes." So guess what shirt he wore to the next?
The one that matches with his eyes.
Yeah, of course. So, and I thought, okay, this evaluation stuff really works. And so, I would, in my head, before I say anything, I think, especially with the daughter, like when she was young, I used to start with, "Baby, you're doing such a good, I need you to know how good you are. But if there was one thing that could just change in that little story that you wrote, maybe." And then she'd be listening to me, and then I'd close it off with, "But at the end of the day, it was a real good story.
Mm.
Just maybe a little tweak here and there." That sure beats, "Okay, sit down, redo it. It sucks." Again, I'm preaching to the choir,
Mhm.
Patricia. It just works so much better. It works so much better in life, at work. I became so much easier to get along with,
Mm.
or kept my mouth shut.
Mm.
I learned how to do that. And as far as mortgages, I've always been in a helping career, sales, mostly sales, because I love solving problems. I've had to learn to keep quiet too, ask questions and keep quiet. And I do recall the moment at Toastmasters when I made a decision that I would no longer be thinking about how I'm going to respond to you. When you say something and it triggers something off,
Mm.
and I want to, I want to, it's my turn. It's my turn to talk. I remember the moment I said, when someone's talking and a thought comes in your head, I just say, "God, would you mind holding that for me?" Or I've realized that if it doesn't come back, it was never meant to say. So if I think of something while you're talking, I ask, "Could you just take that away, please? You're disrupting me while I'm listening." And if it's there, if it's meant to be said, it will be there. And if I think to myself, "Oh, I forgot what I was going to say," I don't think about it anymore. It's done. I was never supposed to say it in the first place. So that's a big moment too, when you're actively listening to people. Like I want to listen to everything you say, your questions. I want to hear you. I don't want to hear you just so that I can build up my response. That's being an active communicator. And I think in sales or in any industry, when you look at people and you're actually actively listening and you're looking in their eyes, they know it. People just know it. And I'm glad that it's not an effort for me to do that. I just do it.
Wow. Annette, woo, I feel like I just received the preaching. I have to confess, okay, I joined Toastmasters in May 2021. That's almost 2 years now.
Okay.
And I'm a better communicator now than I was, way better. It's night and day,
Mhm.
but there's still a
Mhm.
lot of this. It's never over. I think I'll be a member forever until I die, very likely. But I have to say, I'm good. I learned how to shut up and listen. But I have to confess, I still start making my bullet points in my head for when it's time for me to speak. It never occurred to me to just not keep track of those bullet points and just stop talking and listen and then see what comes up after. I love this. I feel like, oh God, it's going to be a new journey starting where this is really nice. I don't know why.
It's a commitment, right? It's a commitment to be an effective communicator when you're not thinking about your response.
I've never heard this before. Why
Mm,
this? Thank you, Annette. Thank you very much.
mm,
So I'm going to stop with my bullet points and just listen more. Thank you. Oh,
mm.
well.
That's awesome.
I would love to ask you some questions. You have been married for 35 years, Annette.
Hmm.
You deserve a trophy just for that. So congratulations to you. Bravo. Bravo.
Hmm. Thank you.
And I consider you a relationship expert. I'm sure you're probably not an actual expert, but you survived 35 years of a union. Do you feel like you're up for this or?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 40 years together, 35 married.
Wow.
So, yeah, 40 years together.
Yes. So I just
Yeah.
want to hear your wisdom. Even if you're not a professional, I just want to hear, please,
Okay.
some advice for different groups of people. We're going to cover pretty much whoever's alive right now.
Okay. So, I think the reason I feel qualified is those goes back to those four brothers,
Mm,
right? I lived with a jealous father who was very, very jealous of, protective and jealous over my mother.
mm,
How did I manage to have four brothers who were never jealous with their women? I
mm,
don't know how that happened, but it did. So I was exposed to four guys. I saw them when they weren't so nice to women
mm,
at a very young age. I saw them when they were nice to women. I saw them when they fell in love. I saw them sitting beside the phone, waiting for the phone to ring. I saw how they dumped women. I saw how women behaved with them. I learned a lot between, say, 10 and 16 years old. That's the time that my brothers were all not falling, or falling in love and with the women that they're still married to today, or not. A few of them are divorced. So as a young girl, I sat back and I watched everything and I took it in. And I mean, learning the difference between when a man is really liking somebody and not, I clearly saw the behavior change. So when I started sort of my dating life, I don't know, 16 or 17, I knew when someone was putting in time. I knew when someone really wasn't interested. You know what? Even if I really fell for the young guy, I walked away in a heartbeat. Even when it sometimes really hurt because I really liked them, but I knew they weren't into me. So I walked away. And I always say women look far better walking away. We look better from behind than we do staying. So if you want to attract a guy, have a life. Don't let him be your life right off the bat. You have to have your own life. A smart man will like that. The other guys might want you to devote your lives to them, but that's probably the biggest lesson. I have not devoted my entire life to my husband. I've devoted my love, my trust. I have a life outside my husband, and it does not involve any other men.
mm.
It's just another life. I
Okay.
have a family life. I have a relationship with my husband. I have, I have, it's like a rainbow, I have different things going on. And he's never wanted me to devote my entire life to him and his needs. So, I saw that with my brothers. I saw trust. I saw what happened when trust wasn't earned or nurtured. So I was exposed to a lot. Four brothers. I
Yeah.
saw a lot of relationships go down.
I bet. No, you can write a book just for that, Annette. So let me just present a few scenarios to you, and
Okay.
then you can just give us some tips, us poor
Sure.
women out there.
Sure.
We need all the help we can get.
Okay.
The first scenario here, let's consider a new couple. Okay, all the new couples out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're still in love with the
Mm-hmm.
pink glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
They still see their partner as being flawless.
Mm-hmm.
What are 3 tips you think they need to know to have a successful union, please?
So they're just getting to know each other.
Mhm.
Well, what I've seen a lot in the first 3 or 4 months of a relationship today is that someone's not trusting someone. First off, our guts, women. I know men have. I think when guys can feel things too, but I think we have been gifted with extremely healthy gut feelings. And if there's a real good chance that you're not feeling like the man that you're dating can be trusted, either you're really, really, really insecure or he's giving you good reason not to trust. So I think that's something that new people are not willing to look at too early in the relationship. The trust factor, it hasn't been there since the day they met them. Hasn't been there. They haven't been able to rely on them, depend on them. An example, 7 o'clock on a Friday night, you get a text. Hey, you feel like meeting up for dinner at 8 o'clock Friday night. And you really like the guy.
Okay.
Would you go out with them?
So if you're talking right now, where I'm at in my life right now, no, I would not be free an hour later.
Okay.
And because I plan in advance, somebody who's getting to know me, he
Okay.
needs to know that I don't do last minute very well.
Right.
And he'll be respectful, or it
Right.
depends where we're at in the relationship, but typically I would not be available on such short notice. There's no way, no.
Exactly. So I've seen many women jump in a car, barely know the guy, and drive to the other end of the city to have dinner on a Friday night. They got a text at 7 and they're there for 8:30.
Mhm.
And I just mind my own business, but inside my head, I'm thinking, he doesn't respect you. And there's a good chance he had another plan and it fell through.
Mm.
Now, 3 months later, 4 months later, and everything's going fine and great. And you get an impromptu, hey, I just got home from work and, would love to connect in an hour. That's a different scenario.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, I've been waiting to hear from
Yes.
you. Awesome. See you in an hour.
Mhm.
But in the courting stages,
Mhm.
courting, people don't court anymore. And the reason I fell in love with my husband is because he courted me.
Mm.
He took me out every Saturday night dancing
Mm.
for probably almost a year before we sort of slowed down on the going out for dinner 2, 3, 4 times a week because it can get costly on both parties.
Yes.
And I just really enjoyed being courted, sitting in a restaurant and talking and listening to music and dancing.
Mhm.
So being courted, I don't know if that even exists anymore. I've talked to my daughter about that a lot. You've got to let some kind of a courting process happen. I
Mm.
think it sounds really old fashioned, but I think it still works. That courting can happen over even texting and phone calls, but there has to be a courting process. And you don't make yourself too, available. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought I always believed, and people will say to me that's playing games. I always said it's like it's a dance. It's a dance and it's not playing games.
Mhm.
And if in 3 weeks, 3 dates, you need to know whether you're getting married or not, that's insanity. That's insanity on both parts. We don't want men asking us for marriage in 3 weeks, and guys don't want to talk about marriage in 3 weeks.
Mhm.
I would never have discussed marriage. Well, actually, I'm actually lying. We did talk about children early on
Mhm.
because my husband was older
Mm.
and he said he would never get married again.
Mm.
So I think we were out on our third or fourth date. He said, I don't plan on getting married again or having any children. I have a son. And I said, oh, okay, that's awesome. I said, but just so you know, at the end of the night, I said, I'm 23. I do actually plan on getting married and having a child one day. So I'm going to let you go, because he was being really clear and definitive with me.
Mhm.
And I thought, I'm going to let this go, because he's telling me where he's at.
Mhm.
And it was the best thing I could do, because he went, whoa, 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 whoa. You see, he already liked me.
Mm.
And he said, do you need a huge family? I said, no. I said, I just want one little baby. So we kind of got that out on the table. And he
Mm.
said, okay, I probably could handle a baby.
Okay.
And I stuck by that.
Okay.
I stuck by that. But we never discussed it again, probably for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
We had the conversation,
Yes.
because I was willing. I said, I'm 23. So it would be really unfair for me to go out with a person who never, ever, ever wants to get married again.
Yes.
I
But
said,
Mhm.
so, but I knew that he also liked me as a human being. So if he would have, it would have really hurt me that night if he would have said, okay, we're good to go.
Mhm.
But those conversations have to come out organically. That
Yes.
conversation just happened to come out. I didn't have it on my agenda, because I do
Yes.
not talk about marriage and children on third dates.
Yes.
It,
But you
it
had no
happened.
choice because he brought it up. You understand? You
That
can't,
was the
because you
thing.
staying silent, then it doesn't work anymore. You have to
And
speak
I
up. Mhm.
and I stuck. I stuck by my one child.
Yeah.
I did, because
Mhm.
I thought it was important that when the conversation was had,
Mhm.
I knew where he was at.
Mhm.
And it would not have been very nice for me to say, by the way, I want 3 kids.
Mhm. Yeah, whatever works for you, that's the thing. Sometimes I know people who have been in that situation, and like my friend was categoric. I do not want to have, do not want to have kids at all, ever. And she told that to her boyfriend at the time, and he loved her so much. He said, fine, I won't have kids. But then eventually, just to please him, and it just organically happened that they decided, what, let's just have another one. Like, things can change in life, but at least
Yes,
stuck to the agreement. And I suspect if you would have proposed, look, I know we said one, but now I'm 30 and I'd like to have a second one, maybe you could have gone maybe he could have been more flexible. Maybe he didn't realize he could be so in love with the process. Maybe it was a bad experience with the ex-wife, but with you, it'll be wonderful. So we have to be flexible, but at least when it came up, you were honest and you
absolutely.
spoke your truth and you stuck to it.
Absolutely. I'm chuckling because you said 30, because I was 34
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh,
when I
wow.
had the first, and he
Okay.
was 50.
Oh.
So like today, a few years ago, he said, if we would have had another, and I said, don't you even say that. But you know what? I made a note once when I was 16, and I said I would marry an older man,
Mhm.
and he would have a child, and we would only have one, and I will probably only get married once. I don't know. At 16, I had it all figured out. I'm sure I was pretty angry at my brothers and said, I ain't having a house full of kids. No,
Absolutely.
but it has its effect, the
Yes.
chaos. I didn't want chaos.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
then I know people who have one child, and there's a lot of chaos in their house.
That's correct. The number of kids is irrelevant.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Okay. Now, let's move on to those many couples who are struggling out there. One of the partners feels as if they cannot endure their mate for much longer. What advice would you like to give them, please?
Oh, here's oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to share this. About an hour ago, I said to my husband, we were talking about a friend of ours, and I said, dear, at the end of the day, if two people meet, and this happens all the time, I hear the girlfriend say, he's not the best kisser in the world, but I love him.
Mm.
And in my head, I thought, you're gonna stay with somebody and you don't even like the way they kiss? Like, chemistry is, for
Mhm.
me, it's like right at the top.
Yes.
Because if you are dating and you don't like the way they smell,
Mhm.
then you can imagine in 5 years, you're going to look for 5 other reasons to divorce somebody. You're not going, if the guy's lucky, you're never going to tell him he smells, or the other way. But you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Chemistry. Chemistry means to this day, when my husband says, I got to go have a shower, I've been working all day and I don't come near me, I go, you know what? I don't smell it. I don't smell it. Chemistry.
Yeah.
However, it's chemistry, right? I think that people overlook so much because they don't want to be alone. They overlook the behavior, right? So they knew that probably right from the start, but after 5 years, it starts to wear really thin. So if someone's having a commute, I mean, in my marriage, at one point, my husband said, I was born in a garden, metaphorically speaking. I had 2 quiet parents. We had a quiet upbringing. The boys did dishes. The girls did dishes. It was a very equal environment. And he said, and when you come at me with your jungle tools, your swords and your nails and your claws, he said, it scares the crap right out of me. He said, you better go get some new tools, communication tools. Again, I went to Toastmasters for my mother, but I also went because I knew there was a point in my relationship where if I didn't do something to change, and no, I didn't ask him to make the change. I knew, this together counseling is kind of awesome in a way, but it doesn't matter. If your husband's crazy and you don't need the help, go get help anyway. Go do the work. First of all, to find out what your part is in it and why you tolerate it. So if you are the healthy one and the stable one, then go get the help to give you the strength to get out of it. Because there's a good chance one of the 2 parties, the crazy or the insane, never see themselves as insane, right? They don't. They think everything's fine and everything's great. So you're not going to convince them to go get help. So this couples counseling thing very rarely ever works. It has worked for some people, and that's a great thing. But generally speaking, when one person says we need to go get help, the other person doesn't really want to go anyway. And when they're forced into it, it's not a good thing. So if you're feeling like your marriage is falling apart, do something about it. Go to Al-Anon, go to AA if you have a drinking problem. I don't have the money for a counselor. You don't need to go. You don't have to have money. There's all kinds of 12-step programs that will get you on the path. You'll be surrounded by people who've had the same problems. There's lots of places, you could talk to your pastor, I guess, if you have to, if you want to. Toastmasters, as I said, it's cheaper than a shrink. It, for what we pay, it offers that much help. If you surround yourself by people who are healthy and not healthy, we all learn from each other, right? We all sit back and say, well, I don't want to be like that. Sometimes I meet somebody and I think, ooh, she reminds me of that part of my personality. Last week, what did I do at the meeting? I've been going overtime. And suddenly it occurred to me, of all people going overtime, the last thing I want my fellow members to think is that I'm arrogant and that I deserve that time. So I made a commitment. I won't be going overtime anymore, ever again. I thought that's all I need is someone to think that I think I'm arrogant, which I'm not. Sometimes in a situation, we have to look at our own part in it. Even if we're totally good and normal, we're still accepting it, right? We're still accepting something that's not good. So for the couples who are struggling, something has to give. I'm not saying break up. I'm not suggesting you leave. Something has to give. One of the 2 parties has to do something. And then after you've gone through some learning, then a decision will be made to stay or to go. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, there are a lot of resources. And I've lived through that in the past with previous relationships when I saw there was something wrong, like, oh, there's something wrong with such a behavior. I think it goes back to your childhood, some unresolved things. You should probably consult. no, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me the whole time. And then it was only when I had left, when I had been done tolerating whatever I tolerated, that the person decided to just, okay, I'll do it now. But by then, too much damage has been caused. So yes, there is a need to do something while somebody's reaching out to you, like you, like your husband, I was saying, do something about the way you're talking to me. I'm feeling attacked. Well, you can keep attacking and see what happens.
Yes.
Not be going in the right direction, or do something. And you're right.
Yes.
I love how you listed all those different options. I am a firm believer in therapy personally.
Yes.
Whether it's individual or group therapy, but
groups,
there's journaling,
whatever.
Reading books. There's so many resources around us. It's just a question. Nowadays, you go on Google, YouTube, how do I There's something about everything.
Absolutely. And I just did a video on this 2 weeks ago. Stop watching Reels. Stop watching TikTok on couple goals. Oh my gosh.
I see what you mean.
Couple goals. Seriously? Yes. All the people of the world that are questioning probably a really healthy relationship because they don't look like the people on TikTok. Yeah. Really? And then I start off my video by talking about a woman who yesterday put out a video with her husband and the 3 kids, and they were all, it was like unicorns, like everything was beautiful and perfect.
The rainbows.
And the rainbows and the red and white coordination, color coordination. And the next day she posted how he beat her up. So she was saying, here's the reality of my relationship. Now, I'm not saying that all couples are doing that. I'm not even suggesting that, but I'm just saying that like glamour magazines, I never let my daughter look at glamour magazines when she was young, because glamour magazines made me feel really ugly. I was always okay until I read a magazine or looked at the pictures. I was fine. And then I'd close the magazine and go, okay, your clothes are out of style. Look at that, look at your jaw, Annette. And then I'd I can't ever really look at a magazine again. Now I can do it today because I just do it with different eyes. I'm older.
Wiser.
But older and wiser. However, I still don't bring them in the house all the time to compare myself to.
No.
Really, couple goals, I know people who are actually, I keep saying I got to stop that. I know couples that actually have really good, stable, loving relationships, and she's still questioning why he's not more romantic. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he washes your car every week. He checks your oil, he puts air in your tires.
What more do you need?
For me, I'm Service, The 5 Love Languages. Great book.
Yes.
Everyone needs.
Yes, I have it.
It's a fantastic book. And I am really happy when I see, because my husband doesn't do it very often, but if I look out the window and I see him washing my car, I am such a happy, and I don't take it for granted because he doesn't do it all the time. But I'm service oriented. So when he does stuff for me, I'm over the roof. I'll take that over a dozen roses any day, but that's just who I am.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people that have it really good and they can't see it.
Because of too many distractions and diversions. I agree with you. Yes, that is ridiculous, the whole couple goal thing, in my opinion. And I'm sure it's not, they don't have bad intentions. Those are just trends and people jump on them, but it's just ridiculousness. People see it's like a storefront, basically, what we see online.
Yes.
And we don't see a lot of authenticity. People show you what they want to show you. And again, I'm with you. However, there are great TikToks and Reels because, for instance, there'll be some clips of this going on Reels and TikTok. So it's not the Reels, it's the Reels where people are talking about how, my life is so perfect.
Yeah,
you should know better by now. And I think the youth, they're more and more aware of those things, where they don't pay too much attention to the flashy, the fake.
Well, I hope, but I mean, at 14, 15, they're watching that. That's what their expectation is.
Yes, and that's why the parents should talk to them and at least monitor, if anything, or have those discussions. But
yes, and talk about how trust is important. And at a young age, I remember talking about trust so much. If you have trust, you've got a lot of things, you can rely on somebody and always.
Yes.
It's huge. It's huge. And then other people say that's not that important to me. And I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I told my daughter that at a very young age that she could do anything she wants, but if I'm asking her a question, I need to hear the truth. I don't want to have any, like I told her, I won't even punish you if you tell me the truth, even if you did something bad. The moment I find out that you lied to me, that's when we're gonna have a problem.
We're
So,
gonna have a problem.
that's for me, the moment, that's the one thing in a relationship also. I will trust until I have reasons not to trust you anymore. But if
Yes.
I'm trusting you, and even the little lies, that's where I cannot trust you for the greater things. I'm not going to trust you with my life, with my future,
Yes.
because you lied about a little random thing. I already had
Yes.
somebody, they lie about their situations,
Yes.
hide children. Who hides children? Or
Yes.
it's just, that's
Can you imagine?
yeah, I lived
You
it.
mean going out on a date and somebody telling you they don't have, yeah. Hmm. That's all.
Well, essentially, just quickly, it was a very fresh relationship, but I had asked one of my first questions, what is your current situation? Do you have any children? And the person said, well, I have 2 kids. And I said, oh, great, that's fine. And then I found out within a few weeks afterwards that the person had lied. Because I caught him in a lie, basically. And he's like, okay, I have 2 extra kids. And like, why? No, it's happy. I'm telling you, it's a real story. So I'm just saying people are they're misrepresenting themselves out there. And it's just, that's why I appreciate the fact that your husband told you, I don't want to have more kids. I'm done here. And then you said your piece, and then you found a way to deal with it. Like, just say the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I would have known I had no problem with the 4 kids. It was just, there was more that was hidden. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But when I found out, it was like, no, that's a deal breaker for me. And he knew it was a
Yes.
deal breaker because I had shared it. But people go
Yes.
around it just to have their own way, I guess.
What dating site requires you to, first of all, not be divorced for a year? That's one of the requirements. There's one of them. It's a paid site. My girlfriend was on it.
There's
And first
Bumble,
of
Tinder, eHarmony.
eHarmony, 1 year,
Mhm.
and they ask you like, I don't know, 100 questions, because some of
Yes.
my friends, they're too lazy to go through all the questions.
Yeah.
And she went out on a date, and the first question she asked was, how long have you been divorced? And he said, well, I'm not. And she said, so you lied on the first
Yeah.
question of harmony. He said, are you telling me that everybody answers that question? And she just said, no matter what your justification was, I'm not even going to order dinner. He was horrified. But she said, you just told me everything about you, that you were willing to lie to go out on a date. And he's like, I just don't see it if it's a big deal. And she said, I do. So right off, there's no point in having dinner.
No.
Right? Save your money. So she got up and left. He was pretty angry.
Okay, well, good riddance.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you answered the first question with a lie.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought, well, right thing.
Yeah. And then the people will come up with things like, whenever I would catch them in a lie, well, why didn't you tell me the truth from the beginning? Well, I was afraid, first of all, I didn't know if we were going to hit it off when we met in person. And then just any kind of scenarios. I didn't want to, I wanted to get to know you before I said the truth. I'm a very private person. I didn't want to get into but those are critical things. We're talking about, because I believe in the 4 C's: chemistry that you mentioned. Absolutely. Chemistry, connection, compatibility, and communication. So the moment that there's one of those, something does not work, I don't even waste my time. Like, we're done with I call it date zero. It's not even a date one. It's date zero for me to assess if I want to even see you for a first date. And that's tea or coffee. Like, boom, I won't even sit. I got stuck once with a 5-course dinner with a man. That would never me. That was when
I would never, if God help me, if I had to go back out there. First of all, being a Toastmaster, how many thousands of people have we met? Like, I literally can think, like, I told myself I would never have to go on one of those sites. I met so many people. I'd eventually find somebody in this organization, wouldn't I? Yeah. No, I mean, I've met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. So I mean, if I didn't meet somebody, at least I'm always talking to male and females. For that balance. But I think it's really a tough time right now with the online, and that has changed everything. And I certainly cannot talk about that experience, but I did encourage my daughter to go online, because when she came back from school, she said, I don't want to do that. She's an introvert. And I said, sweetie pie, you're not like your mom. You're not out in bars. Like, I used to hang out in bars, and dance 5 nights a week. That's not my girl. That's not my girl. So I said, how are you going to meet a person?
Mhm.
Well, I don't want to. And I said, baby, I'm asking you to go on one of those sites. And she did.
Mhm.
And she's been with the guy for 3 years.
Yay.
And he was
Oh.
the same way. He didn't really want to be there either, but he said, how am I going to meet people?
Mhm.
So I said, you don't have any choice today, but she was really particular about the look. Um, if he had a surfboard, she said, I ain't going out with a guy with a surfboard and no shirt on.
Yeah.
So she knew what she was looking for. But you have no choice, sometimes like today, you have no choice. It's
Uh,
not like
I
sometimes,
I see what you're saying.
unless you're involved in things.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I did do online
Right.
dating, and it's a numbers game. It's like
Yes.
anything else. And what I like with online dating is you can select criterias. I want somebody from such a faith, such an age group, smoker, not smoker. So you can literally handpick. I was on eHarmony. That's even how I met one of my old partners. But yes, like right now I'm not even online dating at all because I believe I'm all over the place. I'm on all the social media platforms. I'm involved with my church. I'm involved with Toastmasters. I'm involved in so many
Yes.
different groups that there are no reasons for me to do online
I
dating because
agree. And someone will find you.
yes, or
Don't be
maybe
out
not.
looking, don't be out there looking for it.
Yeah,
They could be
yeah.
watching you and you don't even know.
Yes. It's not like I'm how can I say it, sitting in my living room waiting for somebody to knock on the door like the Uber Eats delivery guy can.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting for somebody to knock at the door, but I'm out there. But if I was not out there, like your daughter, for instance, yes, then put yourself out there and then those
Yes.
sites, there's some great sites and there's a way, as long as you don't waste your time and you're quick, you know what you want, you meet somebody,
Yes.
you can assess before you even go to the date zero, because a lot of people
Yes.
will reveal things. If you have a virtual call with them, you'll see, oh, that person sounds like a not sounds, but you could follow your intuition, for instance.
But I was never good. My husband was the first guy that I met on a Friday night, went out on Saturday night, and we were together since. That he was the
Oh,
first one. I always went out with guys that I knew for 6, 7, 8 months.
yes.
And then we realized we kind of liked each other and started going out. So I was never a dater,
Mm-hmm.
like a dater. So the dating game online,
Mm-hmm.
meeting total strangers,
Mm-hmm.
that's not good for me. I would rather meet somebody from my past, somebody that I once knew, and maybe they're available now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to explain to anybody who I am and
Oh God.
justify what kind of a woman I am today.
It's a good thing you're not single then, Annette, right now. You would struggle with that.
I'm sure I would.
I'm happy you're
I'm
happily
sure.
married.
My goodness. My
Okay.
goodness.
Well, one more question I would love to ask you actually
Sure.
on to those single people.
Yes.
They've been waiting forever to meet the love of their life, but
Wow.
they're discouraged and they don't
Yeah.
feel they will ever meet someone half decent, ever. And they're considering settling for someone, as you mentioned before, simply because they are tired of being alone. What wisdom would you like to share with them, please?
It's such a tough one. So they haven't hooked up with them yet.
No, but they have an option. It's like, okay, that person is not what I'm looking for. I don't like their smell, or something's not compatible because they're tired of being alone. They want a life partner and then they're not happy alone.
I would say get up off your butt and go join, I don't know, 5 new organizations rather than compromise the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life. Go and join something where there's male and females. Just do something. Go learn to dance. Go learn to line dance. When I used to help, I had a program for shy people, and line dancing is one of the greatest ways to learn how to dance if you don't know how to dance. It's great for quiet people, introverts, because you can go in the corner and just follow a pattern, but you will gain your confidence and meet people on the dance floor that are dancing beside you. That's probably one of the biggest recommendations I used to make to my shy ladies. It's like go out there and go line dancing. You don't need a partner. I saw people on the line dancing floor. It was like Toastmasters. I saw people change. I saw guys become so confident when they learned how to dance. Of course, it attracted women. I saw quiet people hook up and stay together, all because of line dancing, which is just craziness. But because you don't need a person beside you, you can go on your own. It's couple friendly, but it's singles friendly. Line dancing. Then you get to meet men and women in groups, right? So that's the first thing I would do before compromising. Compromising, boy, you're just that is going to be a tough one. At some point, it's probably going to break down. Compromising, I have you watched Bridges Over Madison County?
No.
Well, you should, with a box of Kleenex, okay?
Really? I'm correct.
Yeah. It's one of those movies.
Is it on Netflix?
I'm sure it is.
Okay.
Yes, with Clint Eastwood and Meryl Streep.
Oh.
It's about 20 or 30 years old now.
Oh,
but
yes, I'll find it.
it still stands. She is in what I would call probably a romantic-less life marriage.
Okay.
However, she does have 2 grown children, and she has to make a choice on the love she's never experienced or had after 30 years of being in a marriage, or 20 years that's just kind of romanticless, and I wouldn't say loveless, but it was not what she hoped it would be. She did make the choice to stay, with her children. And when you watch it, as much as it kills us, we know she made the right decision by staying and keeping her family intact. What I did after that
Don't
movie
give me any
was,
spoilers because I have to watch it, eh?
you still have to watch it. You still have to watch it.
No, but I like to be surprised, so don't give me too much information. Yes.
Okay. I cried. I cried because I'm just so glad I never compromised. It made me realize there wasn't someone else out there that I love, And I cried because I thought, oh, compromising is just not a good thing. It's just not a good thing. And I've always said there's nothing, what's worse than loneliness is being lonely in love, right?
Yes.
We've all experienced that.
Yes.
You're with somebody and you feel so lonely,
Yes.
and you're like, what's wrong with me? When you're in the right relationship, no matter if they're around or if they're gone for a week or two, I don't know, you just never feel lonely. You just know they're there somewhere. You just don't feel loneliness for them because it's just stable and it's good and it's healthy. But nothing can beat being lonely in love. I love him, but he makes me feel so lonely. Oh, how gut-wrenching is that? And for a guy, that's not just a woman thing. A guy knows when a woman's not in love with him too, and he's like, I love her so much, but I don't have her. I can tell, and it hurts. That's called what I call lonely in love.
Yes.
The worst feeling ever.
Yes, definitely. Yes, I agree with you. I've lived that, and that's why I prefer to be alone. I'm prepared to be alone for a very long time. And I meet wonderful humans, just like you said, all around the world. They're great people, but it's just we're not compatible. So unless I find exactly what I'm looking for, I prefer to be alone, because I've been in long, unhappy relationships, unions with some good people as well, but it was just not a good match.
Yes. And I believe that somebody will present themselves in front of you and it'll be the last person you thought.
Yeah. Well, I trust I'm a
your higher
Christian,
power,
basically, and yes, so I trust God that He will make sense of things. Whether I meet somebody or not, I believe I'm just on my path. I'm doing what I need to do, and the right person will manifest at one point.
Yes, and will love you for that. We'll say, there's a woman who I won't have to entertain. A good, healthy man does not want to have to be responsible for your life and your entertainment.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
My husband always said, I'm not entertaining. You plant your own garden. I had to create this life. He wasn't going to create it for me, and he's not going to entertain me.
Yeah.
So
Oh God, Annette, I feel like I can go on forever and ever talking to you.
We
I want to
could.
ask you, yeah, if someone, before we're coming to the end, but if someone in the audience would like to reach out to you or follow you, what is the best way?
Sure. Oh,
Mhm,
geez, they could probably find me on Facebook.
mhm,
Um, Annette Lavigne.
mhm,
They'll recognize me because I think I look just the way I do right now. Absolutely. I have always put myself out there for shy women.
mhm.
I've helped a lot of shy women that were shy slash social anxieties. You know, that's always sort of been a sideline passion of mine to help those ladies. At least it's my job to try to get them strong enough so that they go to Toastmasters,
Mhm.
you know, because it's hard at first. You can find me on Facebook. That's probably the easiest way.
Perfect.
The
Perfect.
easiest way.
All right, let me share some of my main takeaways.
Okay.
Number
Wonderful.
one, join Toastmasters early. Even if you don't like the reason why somebody's telling you, join a public speaking group so you can just improve
Find
your
your
life in every
voice.
way possible. Yes, increase your communication, your efficiency at communicating.
Mhm.
Trust your intuition. That gut feeling is there for a reason. Trust it. And if ever you're dating, let some courting process happen. Okay. And don't make yourself too available. And also, when you meet somebody, set things clear. If you want to have a family, tell them. If you don't, tell them so that at least there are no misunderstandings. If ever you're in a union and you're at a crossroad, you don't know if things can go on or not, something has to give. Fix something. Go seek help. And if you're single, go out there, join an organization, consider online dating, just go out there. Pick up line dancing, if anything, or something, sports, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're alone, wait till the right person shows up. Do not rush into and settle into a relationship that will make you miserable for the next few decades.
Yes.
Whew. Are there any last
Yes.
story you'd like to share with us, Annette?
No, I always say to people, if a lot of people were looking, you know, were a fly on my wall, they probably would say, they probably wouldn't like how my husband and I, like, I have never done his, I think I've done his laundry twice in 40 years. I don't do his laundry. When he met me, he said, don't do my laundry. I said, no problem. I don't know where it says in the Bible or in the marriage contract that we're supposed to start doing somebody's laundry anyway.
No.
It's not there. But so I think a lot of people would look at our situation. I always say it's not that my situation is perfect. It's perfect for us.
Yes.
I would never say to people, this is what you should have,
Yes.
but a version of it, or um, it has to be, both people have to be on the same page,
Mhm.
right? Both people have to be on the same page. And if you're in a jealous relationship, there's going to always be a problem.
Mhm.
That's a lack of trust.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Annette.
No problem.
I don't recall having such a good time in a very, very long time. You're such a
No
lovely
problem.
lady.
No, thank you. Thank you. So are you. And I love watching you in action.
Mm,
I think you are bringing some really good stuff to the world. I
mm,
think you've got the speaking thing covered, you've got the personal covered, the spiritual covered. I'm like, okay, this, you also validated me in that I'm doing a few things. And people say, do you think you're doing too? And I go, you know what? I think we can do whatever we want,
yeah,
and it's okay. 25% of them are going to hate us. 25% of them are going to love us, and we have an opportunity to switch over
yeah,
the other 50%. I remember hearing Darren LaCroix tell me that
yeah,
that try not to worry about it. Just
yeah,
keep doing what we do.
yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes, me, I'm more concerned about the one. I'm interested in talking to whoever needs that one person needs to hear what I have to say, and
that's
I
right.
don't care about the rest. But yes, I agree with the statistics.
Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you, and I love what you do, and you're so empowering. You're always positive. I love that, and I
Thank you.
loved that you're sharing wisdom and you're just trying to help the planet.
Yes. Yes. Do our bit.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on, Patricia.
Thank you. And
Thank
your
you.
friend at home, I hope that you enjoyed spending time with us.
Yes.
And we'll definitely be seeing each other in the leave us comments if you agree with something we said, you disagree with something we said, please leave comments. We want to hear to see them and respond to them. And yeah, so we'll be seeing you in the next
Absolutely.
video. And don't forget, the power of your voice can change the world. Go find it and use it. See you in the next video. Bye.
Bye bye.